Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, and you guys are in for a special treat today. My friend, my client, Christina Wood, is here gracing us with her presence. Girlfriend, it's so good to see you. I cannot wait for people to get a chance to hear you, your wisdom, and all of the insight that you have. So welcome to the show, girl.
Thank you.
We have gotten to know each other really well over the last couple of years, and it's kind of a fun backstory, I think. Like, Christina, we didn't know each other all that well, but when I held my very first Becoming Experience retreat, you're like, I just need to get away, so let's do this. And we became fast friends, and you were like, all right, when's the next one? And so you joined me in Costa Rica. And it's been so much fun. It's been so much fun to watch you continue to grow. And I'm just going to say this right now for all of our listeners that Christina is probably one of the most resilient boss babes that I know. She has had to endure a lot of extra stress that any human being, would crumble around. And Christina, you have just continued to handle it with grace, and you keep showing me what's possible. And I'm just so excited that you're here and getting a chance to let my listeners get a chance to know you.
Thank you.
Okay, girl. So tell us a little bit about you. Why don't you describe your business and tell us what it is that you do?
Yeah. So I'm a music therapist by training, which means I get to use music to help people. I am the founder and CEO of Healing Rhythms, and I have a team of board certified therapists, and we serve about 30 counties across southern Minnesota, really focusing on more rural communities and helping people get access to services. And that looks really different depending on what are the people's needs, right? So sometimes it might mean, like today, I just came from the hospital, and I was supporting people who have been in the hospital for a long time. And how do you help bring them joy and redirect, their coping skills through music? Sometimes it's supporting kids and adults with special needs in our clinic. Other times, it might be doing special presentations to help medical staff with burnout, or helping social workers or other people that are caregivers just look at things differently, and how do we use music to help you in life, at work, at home, and just help people wherever they're at in their life journey through music.
It's amazing. And Christina, because we've talked about it, like I am such a huge fan of using frequency for healing, and music is an expression of frequency. And knowing that you're making such a huge impact in the people around you, both in the business sense, as far as, the employees that you serve and all of the clients that you help with music therapy. Like, it's been so much fun to watch you. And you guys, did you hear this? Like, she covers 30 counties. And how many employees did you say you had?
Currently, we have 10.
I mean, guys, like, that's amazing. And how long have you been in this space, Christina? Because I'm guessing that you didn't come out of, school and, you started your business. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah. So I started as a solopreneur, and I mean, that was great. But as I think many of you are probably learning, that can work, or it can be really lonely. Or maybe you start with adding in contractors, which is how I started to build my practice. And then I realized, I really wanted to create a culture. I wanted to coach and mentor my team, and you can't do that with contractors. So when you want to start to protect your brand and you really want to build culture and grow a team, mine was kind of multifold. I wanted to coach and mentor music therapists, but I was also watching them work in isolation and in burnout. And I'm like, I don't want you to burn out. You're so good and passionate at what you do. So that's really how I started and flipped from contract to employee. And we've just really grown very organically to serve more rural communities and areas that I grew up in, that you grew up in,
Yep.
that we never knew each other growing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love just helping people get access to high quality services too. That's really
Yeah.
important to me. Like, we're not music volunteers, we're not teachers, we're not here for the goodness of our hearts, although we all love what we do. But
Yeah.
we're trained as therapists to help people.
And I got to just say that, I've had the privilege of training, being a guest trainer for your staff. And it is evident how much you care about them and how much you want them to feel appreciated and loved and empowered and supported and all the things. Like, you are a phenomenal leader. So anybody that has the opportunity to learn from you and the way that you develop culture, the way that you lead, the way that you expand services, the way that you grow, is in for a treat. I'm just going to be honest with you. So when you and I started working together a couple months ago, you came to me specifically for a couple of things. And I've asked you ahead of time if it's okay if I share this, but
Yeah.
really just wanted to, get a better handle on your time, because as a woman who has 3 kids, and I believe at the time your nanny had just accepted another job. So like, there's like all kinds of different things that were thrown at you, and you're managing this, really amazing company. And you're like, Lachelle, like, I need some help managing all of these balls that I have in the air. And you also really wanted to work with me on ways to diversify your income, because, like, let's just be real. We need to start designing our business around the life that we want. And you're like, all right, show me how I can create sustainable, long-term residual income so that I can be a more present mom. Tell me a little bit more about the headspace that you were in when you came to me, because I paraphrased that, but tell us a little bit more behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think, I had a lot of your foundation things from the initial retreat that we had done and just from
Yeah.
following you, but I knew that I needed more. And when I started the program, which I'm just wrapping up, when we did our review call, like the comparison was crazy. Like, okay, rate yourself now, because I didn't have it up, and
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, yeah, I was in a
That was
funk, like
that
in
was
low
pretty cool,
vibration.
actually. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like, I have my clients, my one-on-one clients rate themselves around, like, where do they see themselves around confidence, clarity, consistency, the big things that I see make or break business success. And it was really freaking cool, honestly, to hear,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'd give myself an 8 or a 9 or a 10. I'm like, yes, like, this is awesome. So that was really fun, because, that wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily why you came in, but you were able
No.
to gain that. So that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I think too, just being able to really hone in again on the mindset. And like I said, in the foundations of really, because life keeps happening, right? And for anyone that is a parent, runs a business, has all the balls in the air, sports, traveling sports, hockey, like whatever it is, you name it, single parenting, nanny, no nanny, whatever you're juggling, childcare, all the things, right? Like, holy cow,
Yeah.
but really just having that mindset, and really for me was focusing in on the tools and the skills that, like, I was aware of it, maybe not implementing daily, like muscle
Yeah.
testing,
Mhm.
and really thinking about frequency and vibration. And I'm really excited to implement that more now.
Yes.
So more to come, and more to come on kind of like, I don't know, the coaching and just everything else of like what I intended, but like it's okay to go back and like just take the time of what I needed, and
Yeah.
to really fill myself up and really
Yeah.
continue to build and be resilient,
Yeah.
because it takes a village, and
Mhm.
sometimes your village changes,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's okay to ask for help, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um
Yes. And
yeah.
oh my gosh, like, I want to dive into all of your amazing advice in just a moment, but I just want to expand on this, because the listeners might not understand what we're talking about. So when you're talking about foundations, inside of my Spiral Up program, I actually have 7 core foundations that I have found that once we get to the root causes of why these problems and these stresses are manifesting. Once we get to the source, now all of a sudden, all of the rest of the stuff starts falling into place, right? And it's the underlying mindset, it's the underlying confidence, the underlying clarity, it's the underlying trust in ourselves, the underlying habits that we have built that lead to successful time management, that lead to the diversification of income. And so, yes, we were able to get some really great tools in place, right? With time blocking with you and schedule management. And, we brought in a residual stream of income and we had the curriculum built for the next one. Like we were able to accomplish all of that. But one of the things that I thought was really cool is that what I witnessed in you, Christina, was you really exhibiting this amazing resilience around managing the highs and lows of life. And even though your life, and those of you guys who are listening and not watching me on YouTube, like my hand is like up and down like waves, right? Like that was Christina's life during the last couple of months we've been working together. You had a storm come through and completely tear up your yard. You've had, water and sewer back up in your basement. You have had, family drama. You've had kid drama. You've had sick kids.
All the things.
You've had, people change jobs. You've had contracts like come and go. Like it has been a wild ride. But I'm going to guess that if we were to talk to any one of your staff members, they would be like, oh yeah, like I saw little waves, but not anything what you were going through behind the scenes, because you've really learned to master, I'm going to use that term master, this a beautiful ability to take life and just go on to the assumption, right? You were there witnessing. So if you guys have not heard the story about me throwing my freaking phone into the ravine on the Costa Rican trip, Christina was standing next to me and I'm like, all right, shit just works out for me, right?
Yes.
And we've just taken on that mantra, and you have been able to learn these underlying skill sets that have given you such an amazing calmness about you despite all of that stuff. Tell us a little bit about that space in your head.
Yeah, I think for me, my faith has always been a huge source of strength.
Yep.
And I think the beautiful thing about this program is really manifesting and co-creating with God and leaning into that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things for me in the last 6 months of this program has been really to learn to trust my intuition. Like I've always had that gut feeling, but I've stifled it or been told like, oh, it's not good, or for whatever reason. And so really learning to trust and to embrace that intuition through muscle testing, through doing my daily affirmations, but also just, I don't know, like human design, like for me that was huge to lean into that, and I'm like, whoa. And now sharing it with my team, and and when I talk to some of my business besties, I'm like, okay, so let's lean into this. And so this is a really difficult road to be a business owner, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you've grown and scaled and you have a team. Like it can be hard, it can be lonely, and to find the tools that we can use to keep our cup full, or what do we lean into and who do we lean into when times are difficult, because sometimes people don't have an easy path in life, and for whatever reason, that's been me. We talked about that, and so it's like, okay, but how do you, like, we choose, right? We always get a choice, and so choosing that mindset and just really, like I said, I really hope and trust, and I believe that my team, instead of seeing this, has seen just the little tiny waves. You know?
And it's amazing what you're modeling for your kids too. Tell me a little bit about how this has trickled down to the way that you've been parenting.
I think, so something that I had said the other day, and my son was like, you always say, we're just going to figure it out. And I'm like, yeah, and we do, right? He's like, yeah, like very annoyed with a little bit of toot, but it's true. Like when you have that mindset of like, it's just going to be okay. We're just going to figure it out, and I can say, it's just going to work out. And I know that I'm like, oh, shit just works out for me. Kind of taking that mindset, and that awesome kind of Costa Rica vibe, and like, and all the things that came with it. But I think trying to stay calm, trying to stay grounded. And things are not always going to be easy. Things are not always going to go your way. Life situations are going to happen, but how we approach it and how we choose to grow through it is huge because we always have a choice.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's what's it. Jesus, doesn't promise us a worry-free life. He tells us, he warns us that there are going to be tribulations. And one of the things that I just feel this is a lifelong skill that you have just amazingly conquered, and you exude from your being, Christina, just being around you. Like, it's just this chill, no matter what the heck is going on. And it's just been really fun to see you continuing to embrace all of these amazing tools. And, one of my favorite sessions that we had, so I have various different levels of my program, the Spiral Up program, and Christina was in the highest level, which gave her access to me and one-on-one. And we just let spirit, we let God guide our sessions. And so, you might come in like thinking we're going to talk about, time management, time blocking. And we end up like discovering, right, a subconscious block, a subconscious belief that you had since you were a kid that was literally playing out in the way that you were making decisions and the stress that you were experiencing at work. Are you open to talking about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
So go ahead and tell me like what came out of that session.
I think there's a couple, but I think really, I mean, and I don't know if we're thinking of the same one because there's a couple, but I think just like trusting, right? Like trusting, and just the biggest thing, and this came out of the first retreat of like my inner knower knows.
Yep.
And really continuing to just like give it to God.
Yep.
And just do it. Just do it.
Yep. The one session that I remember that really stands out to me is, where you discovered that there was a memory that you had from when you were little that made you believe that you were responsible for things that you had no reason to be responsible for as a child. And you grew up with this belief that you were responsible for things and people around you, which made you feel a heaviness in your shoulder. You were literally carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And as business owners, as moms, I don't think that your situation is unique. I think that a lot of us come into this space where we feel like we're responsible for everybody around us, where in reality, as we know now, right, that we are responsible to others and for ourselves. And it was just this realization of what can I control and what do I need to allow other people to take responsibility for themselves around. And it was just this really cool aha. And you guys, you never know what's going to happen when you have this like surface issue and you get to the root of it and you're like, holy shit. Like, I was like, I don't even remember how old you were, like 5. You're like, I'm 5 years old. And I'm like, that's what's been playing out in my mind for my whole life. No wonder I think this way. No wonder I behave this way. And I mean, it's that realization that unlocks hidden doors, that opens us up to solutions that we didn't even know were there. Right.
Yeah. That was super powerful. Like, who am I responsible for? Me. Yeah. And like, I can lead by example for my family, for my team, but like ultimately everybody has a choice. We all have choices.
Yeah.
And littles are different than older children, but like, how do we model? How do we lay some of that foundation? And it's not always easy. Yeah. But also like people have a choice, right? Like, what do people value? What does your team value? What do some of your contracts value? And trying to figure that out and really learning. I was literally just explaining this to a med student this afternoon. Like, everybody has a choice, and to learn to not take it personal, like that's really, really hard. So if a patient turns me down, like, it's not personal. Maybe it wasn't the best time. Same thing with a contract. Like, if you're trying to get a sale or get a new contract, maybe it's not personal. Like, maybe it's just not the right time. Or maybe like, with some big changes I've had recently in business, like, okay, we don't like it, but I have to trust that we're doing the best that we can with the resources we've been given, and that we are showing up, making a difference for those people. And that eventually the tides are going to change.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes. We control. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think trying to really instill that and to lead by example of, there's some scary things in the world or in the family or in the business or things that seem uneasy and unsteady, but like, how we choose our mindset, how we choose to show up, and how we choose to weather the storm is huge.
100%. I mean, you know me so well, right? You're like, it's all about the power of choice. There's a
Yeah.
reason that,
Yeah.
a lot of my stuff starts with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Christina, I want to shift gears a little bit because I really have the utmost respect for the amazing company that you have built. And I know from personal experience that there are many other people in our community that also have mad respect for you because you have built a culture of empowerment and employees that love what they do and they love you, and your heart for them is so palpable. And so that's why it's been really exciting to watch you step into another calling that you have, which is to mentor other women in business who are wanting to go from that solopreneur space into expanding when we realize that we're the bottleneck, right, in the expansion of our services. And it's like,
For
okay,
sure.
now what, right? And we look at what does that look like from a hiring standpoint, and what does that look like from a cultural standpoint, and where do I start with payroll, and how do I keep all of, like, there's so much that goes into that. And you bring this amazing secret sauce of the wisdom and the mindset into it, that it's not just, oh, do this, this, and this. Like, you have such a profound personal development journey of yourself that you are weaving into what it is that you're doing. And I just absolutely love that. And so I want to pick your brain right now as we are, focusing in this summer on mompreneurs who are trying to balance it all, who are, trying to not only grow their business, but maybe just like make their business survive through this summer when kids are home and, routines are all up and
Packing lunches and sports and what?
Yeah. So what advice do you have for the women out there who are trying to juggle it all, and you got curveballs thrown at you from every angle like you have? Tell us how we can manage the storm.
Well, take a deep breath first.
Yes.
And I think, like, where's your village, right? Like, and it's okay to humble yourself and to give yourself some grace, because I'm guessing that y'all give yourself not enough grace compared to how you extend it to others.
Yes.
And that's been something that I'm working really hard on and continue to work on, because I will give all the grace in the world to other people, but how do I deliver that to myself?
Yeah.
And knowing, like, you don't have to do it all, and it's okay. Like, my dream has been like, okay, well, I want to be able to go on vacation. I want to be able to take off Fridays. And like, those are all things that I'm doing. And so I've been able to build that, or I've been able to take off work to go to appointments for my family or whatever is needed, and to show up in that way while also empowering my team. And so I think in this crazy summer mode, right? How do moms in business do this?
Yeah.
Ask for help. It's okay. Like, who else can run somebody to sports, or how else can we, like, just reach out and say, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling. Like, shoot a text, make a phone call.
Yeah.
Because chances are, whether your business bestie or friend is in the same town or state or across the country, like, they're probably in a similar boat.
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone. And sometimes I think we have this, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
And I promise you, you're not.
Yeah.
No,
totally.
And the curveball, and so, like, just being flexible, right? Like, I was your very, like, type A, had to have a plan, had to have a schedule. Like, okay, we're going to figure it out, like, and does that really drive me crazy? A little bit, but have I learned to embrace it? Yeah. Like, we just, okay, we're going to be flexible because the sports schedules change or the staffing schedule changes. And, like, okay, I'm in patient care today and I plan on having an office day, or, like, just giving yourself that grace. Yeah. Right. And, like, do I have the flexibility to flex things now? Yes. Or can I lean on my team members or on my leadership to be like, okay, hey, I was going to do this today. Can you help me? Or if my team, one of them has a sick kiddo or they need a mental health day, like, yep, no problem. Like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's one of the things that I think a lot of us, would go into business for ourselves. And sometimes we don't reap the benefits of that And we only so many of us go from a 9 to 5 to 24/7, right? Like business
Mhm.
doesn't turn off sometimes, especially in our minds. We're always thinking about like, what am I behind on? What can I get ahead on? And it's really crazy how we embrace the bad, but we don't take advantage of the good of what
Yeah.
can business afford us. And,
Yeah.
I know for you specifically, like you work with music therapists and music therapists, the demand is high right now. And I
Mhm.
believe you're hiring.
We
If
are hiring.
if anybody is listening and you know an amazing music therapist, I want you to hear what I have to say next. A music therapist can go into corporate or they can go into work for somebody like Christina, who understands what it means to have flexibility, who understands what it means to, hey, I know you need a mental health day. Let's make it happen. Your kid is sick or you need an appointment. Let's make it happen. You're not going to get that in corporate. And so I want you to just understand that, like, let's embrace the benefits that we have as
Mhm.
entrepreneurs as
Mhm.
well. But I also want to tie into one other thing that you and I've talked about a lot, which is guilt. We feel guilty when we're, working and not with our kids. We feel guilty if we're with our kids and not working. Like, help us fellow
1,000%.
moms out there who are like, freaking A, damn guilt, but it's
Yeah.
there. And so, how
Yes.
have you
Yes.
been able to manage that? Like, what advice would you give to people who can relate to that?
Yeah. I think changing my words and my mindset of like, oh, my kid's sick or I have an appointment versus like, I get to
Yes.
have the freedom and flexibility to go to appointments for my family. I get to juggle my schedule and work from home or to move things around on my calendar so I can be at home with my family, or that I can, flex Fridays and try to be off so we can do fun things or have a lake day or go visit family.
Yeah.
And I was somebody that never, as a solopreneur, and even in my early days with employees, like I would never take a vacation ever.
Mhm.
Like, what?
I
Like, how
know.
crazy is that? Or I'd be like,
Yeah,
or
totally.
where's my computer? And, like I've been able to unplug and to put the processes in place. But like I think for the moms, if you're a solopreneur or just one or two people on your team, like it's okay,
Yeah.
right? And like okay, nobody ever died because they didn't get music therapy, right? Like, might it change their patient experience or something
Yeah.
like that? Yeah. Do we have disappointed people when we have a pause in staffing or a wait list? Yeah, but like we're going to be really careful about our quality control and who we bring into the team and how we serve and support people in the community or our partners or our staff or our clients. So
Yeah.
really thinking and being mindful about that and telling yourself it's okay. Like it's okay to reschedule something,
Mhm.
and like just no, period. Like that's okay. Like we don't have to go into these big, long, detailed responses. And I don't think it should have taken me being a mom or even more recently, like being in a single parent role, like it shouldn't take that to say no and to put
Right.
family first
Mm.
and to know
Yep.
that that's okay. Like
Yeah.
it's okay.
That
People get it. And there's different seasons in life, and no
Yeah.
period is a sentence.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like you hit the nail on the head. Like I have so many clients that struggle with people pleasing and codependent behavior because of a lack of underlying root unworthiness, right? So we say
Mhm.
yes or we feel guilty or we, give the long explanations when you don't have to, and it's in that healing, in that growth that we are
Mhm.
able to step up and stay into the place of our power. Girl, you are such an
Yeah.
inspiration. You are such an inspiration to me. Any last words of wisdom for anybody listening who have maybe
Hmm.
been in your shoes?
I think believe in yourself because there's a village out there that believes in you even
Yep.
when you don't.
Yep.
Um, Trust God and trust your gut and your intuition and do your deep work, do your healing because that's going to make you a stronger boss babe,
Yes.
stronger mom, a stronger human, a
Yep.
stronger leader. Do the work.
I love that so much. And we're going to make sure that you guys have all the ways to connect with Christina in the show notes so that if you want to just get to know her as a person, want to know more about her services, you'll have that opportunity to. Christina, if there's anybody that's listening who has been thinking about becoming part of our Spiral Up tribe, what would you tell them?
Do it. Just do it. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And yes, does it take time? Does it take energy? Does it take grit? Yes, but like, do it. I promise you it's worth it. And so is the retreat.
I know, right? The retreat is like our favorite thing, isn't it? Like anytime
For
Christina
sure.
and I can go to the beach, like we just have a blast, and then we learn so much, and it's amazing. So
It's awesome.
you guys make sure that you check out all of Christina's stuff in the show notes. And if you are feeling burnt out, if you're feeling like you are running ragged and you are ready to just get a handle on your time, you are just done with the overwhelm and you want to have a sustainable 10K month, I want you to tune in to the math class that I have coming up. So go ahead and go in the show notes, grab the link for that, because I want to give you all of my best tools to get you out of frenzy and into flow. So let's do it together. Okay, you guys, I'll see you next time. Thanks, Christina, for being here.
Bye.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up